Monsanto has denied our request for a spokesperson to appear on Democracy Now! With James Steele, but they did share with us their initial response to your questions, Jim, while you were reporting this article. I want to read some of what they had to say on a few of the issues you've raised. On patenting and lawsuits, Monsanto says, quote, protecting our customers' interest in research that will bring new advancements and future productivity tools to their operations is critical to their success and to ours. One tool in protecting this investment is patenting our discoveries and, if necessary, legally defending those patents against those who might choose to infringe upon them, while the vast majority of farmers and seed dealers follow the licensing agreements they sign with our company. There have been a tiny fraction who've chosen not to honor their agreements over the years. Monsanto then has an obligation to the thousands of our customers who've chosen to honor their agreements to enforce our patent rights, to protect the integrity of the licensing process, and to maintain a level playing field in the marketplace. The growers who honor their commitments have made it abundantly clear to us that others should not be allowed to reap the benefits of the technology without paying for its use. Jim Steele, your response.
I think the biggest issue are the tactics that they use in going about enforcing those patents. And, I mean, you just saw it in the case of Gary Reinhardt, even with a guy who says, look, I'm innocent, I didn't do this. They very often don't listen to that and barge ahead in terms of the investigation. I think it is the aggressiveness with which they go about protecting their patents. I mean, other companies have also developed genetically modified seeds, and they do not have the reputation in the heartland that Monsanto does in terms of these tactics. The private investigators very often confronting farmers in their fields, urging them to sign documents that will then give them free and unfettered access to all of their crop records and so forth. I think that's what separates them from some other companies. And the issue isn't just the amount of litigation filed, because Monsanto makes the point that very few cases actually go to trial. But the significant thing are the total numbers of these investigations, which are substantial and considerable.
I was surprised to see your reference to Iraq and L. Paul Bremer, one of his last acts when he was in charge in Iraq.
One of his last acts was to issue an order that basically would set up the same kind of regimen over in Iraq that we have in this country, which is that you cannot recycle the seeds. That basically you could only use them for one crop season. You would not be able to clean them, which, of course, Iraqi farmers have done for years and years and millennia. And you would have to buy them each year, just as American farmers do with soybeans and many other products. Monsanto has maintained that they have no intention of enforcing that or going that route. But the fact is, if those seeds should ever become widely available, there would be the option of enforcing that law.
The order stipulating farmers shall be prohibited from reusing seeds of protected varieties. Monsanto has said it has no interest in doing business in Iraq, but should the company change its mind, the American-style law is in place. Jim Steele, milk.
One of the things that just amazed us is, like, milk is this other whole battle that's going on out there that people are not aware of. Monsanto developed an artificial hormone to increase milk production. Cows are injected with this, and as a result of that, they give more milk. Many dairy farmers do not want to use this artificial hormone. They want to just get milk the old-fashioned way, the way cows have always produced this. And because there's such a movement in this country that people want to know what is in their food, what is in their milk, many of these dairy farmers simply put on their milk carton no RBGH, which means no bovine growth hormone. It doesn't say anything beyond that. In fact, on the back of many of these cartons, it says something to the effect that studies have shown there's no difference in the milk between cows that receive the artificial growth hormone versus those that don't. But even so, Monsanto has taken action, first with the Federal Trade Commission, to try to get some action to restrict that labeling, to change that labeling. This is one case where the FTC has not gone along with Monsanto. They've denied that request. Monsanto is now working through various state agricultural departments, especially in big dairy-producing states, to try to get similar action on the milk cartons. And the dairy farmers I've talked to who do this, who've actually been singled out by Monsanto, one fellow down in Louisiana in particular, he said, look, consumers want to know what's in their food, what's in their products. All we are doing is telling them that. And what many of them are finding is that their sales actually increase as a result of that. The milk may cost a little more, but if consumers want it, they should have the right to have that choice.
I was driving through Vermont this weekend and passed Ben & Jerry's, and they took on Monsanto,
years ago,
just wanting to put on that they are RBGH-free. Unlabeling BST-free milk, BST or what's the difference?
Our BST is the more scientific term. It's a real mouthful, but RBGH is the more popular and means bovine growth hormone, but it's basically the same thing.
Well, Monsanto says, quote, Monsanto supports accuracy in consumer labeling, dairy product labels that make unqualified absence claims, such as no hormones or BST-free, imply a safety or quality difference and are misleading to consumers. These labels undermine consumer confidence in dairy products, they say.
Most of the dairies that were singled out by Monsanto in its action, where it sought some results from the FTC, these were dairies that did not make those claims on their cartons. The fellow down in Louisiana in particular just simply says on the front of it, no RBGH, which means no artificial growth hormone. But Monsanto's taken the position that even that disparages the product.
I want to quickly jump to last point, the investigation you did of the health effects in two places that have Monsanto plants, in Alabama and West Virginia.
Right. Before, when Monsanto was a chemical company, and which was most of its history, nitro, they produced an agricultural herbicide. And one of the offshoots of this was dioxin, which is one of the most polluted, contaminated substances imaginable. And the other place, Anniston, Alabama, they produced PCBs, which was this industrial lubricant used in all kinds of electrical equipment, machinery, and so forth. Both of these places, Monsanto operated these facilities for decades, and now both of them are tremendously polluted places, particularly Anniston. Many of the people in that community are walking around with elevated levels of PCBs in their bodies, which apparently will never change. Once these get in your system, it's very, very hard to get them out. Both of these are sort of a legacy of that of Monsanto's past from the time it was a chemical giant.